Hi guys, good morning. Now we are about to dock in Mexico for the first time on this Carnival Panorama cruise, which I am so excited about. It's so hot out there. Now, rather than talk to you about the plan for today here in the cabin, let's first of all go up, watch us sailing into port, come back down and join me over there on the sofa, and I'll tell you everything about what's happening today in port. Before we head upstairs to watch the ship sailing into port, let's talk about this top deck. First up, you've got the pool down there, which is a pretty good size for a cruise ship. Then you've got two massive water slides, which form part of the water park that I'll show you in a future video. And let's now head upstairs to the top level sun deck, which is where we can get the most incredible views of the port as we sail in. In terms of where we are right now in the world, we are currently about 1,500 miles south of Los Angeles. So if you were to drive that in a car, it would take you about 27 hours. So I'm not sure about you, but I'm glad that we did that journey by cruise ship. Now, Puerto Vallarta, sitting on the west coast of Mexico, is apparently very different to the towns that you'll find on the east coast, but that's where we'll be in a few weeks' time. So stay tuned and follow along, and hopefully you will enjoy seeing the contrast between this side of Mexico and the other when you visit by cruise ship. Speaking of cruise ships, would you believe that this one port welcomed 176 cruise ships last year? That means they welcomed about 500,000 passengers, and I was absolutely privileged to be one of them. One thing's absolutely certain already is that today was going to be pretty warm. You can see here the decks were absolutely deserted. That was partly due to the fact it was really warm, and also partly due to the fact that everybody was down grabbing breakfast, which is where we'll go in a sec. And yeah, it was probably the busiest onboard buffet that I have ever seen. Now, one thing that was particularly cool about sailing into Puerto Vallarta is it's obviously a very popular port for much smaller pleasure craft, I would say. You can see here, as soon as we had spun into the dock, everybody was squeezing through at the front. It was amazing to watch. Now, if you're one of these people who doesn't really like going ashore when you go on a cruise, then this could be the type of port that would be right up your street. Look at how quiet this deck area is. If you were to come up here on a day at sea, it would be absolutely mobbed. Now, if you're interested in seeing more from this ship, make sure that you're subscribed. There's loads more vlogs coming to show you life on board, and also a full ship tour as well. Anyway, let's head down a deck and get into the Lido Marketplace. As you know, I am a lover of an Eggs Benedict, and I always delight when I find it on a cruise ship buffet. You know what I'm going to say? Let's cut into it and see what we're dealing with here. Obviously, we're expecting a runny yolk. Is it going to come? No. I know what you're thinking. What even is that? Right, we're now docked. I'm covered in sun cream, and I've also had breakfast. So all of that means that I am now ready to get off the ship. Now, the port that I'm coming to you from today is Puerto Vallarta, which I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. If not, I'm sure someone will correct me, but good morning from Mexico. Now, this is the first of 3 Mexican ports that I'll be visiting on this 7-night Carnival Panorama cruise. Now, if you are new to my channel, then I'm going to be spending the rest of the year back-to-back ship hopping all the way up until Christmas of 2023. Now, it's currently August, which means that I'm going to have a lot to show you, hopefully. So make sure, if you're not already, you can jump down, subscribe to the channel, and that will bring you along on the rest of my adventure this year. And also, while you're there, if you enjoy this video, then please think about giving it a thumbs up, which you can do as well, because that just really helps to push my channel to many more people. But anyway, look, in port today, it's a little bit later than I would have liked, to be honest. It's just approaching midday at the moment. Now, that's ship time rather than local time. Now, this is the very first thing that I need to mention to you guys. I did a video ages ago about recommendations for people that have never been on a cruise before, and one of them is to always take a watch. Ironically, I don't have mine on, but take a watch that you can put on your wrist just to keep it on ship time, or what the actual time is. Now, this cruise, I'm not entirely sure why actually, because it's quite rare for a 7-night cruise, but on this cruise here, I was looking for the mention, but I don't know where it is. Basically, on this cruise, we are remaining on ship time for the whole cruise. So where we are in Mexico is actually 1 hour out from Long Beach. So local time is different to the time on the ship. Now what that means is that the ship will sail at a different time to, for example, 9 p.m. on land. So our all aboard tonight is 8:30, which actually on land I believe that's 7:30, or it's 1 hour out anyway. So just always make sure that you take a watch just so that you can keep it on the right time rather than your phone automatically adjusting to where you are in a country. Now, the reason why it's a little bit later is because with spending so much time on ships this year, I need to try and do life admin while I'm in ports. So my life admin today was to try and buy a travel SIM card so that I can keep in touch with my friends and family back home in the UK, which yeah, at times can be quite difficult to do. So yeah, I'm missing home a little bit on this cruise just because the time difference is so extreme. It was much easier in Europe just with it being an hour or 2 hours away from home. It was much easier to make contact. But I'm very aware of the fact that now, when I get back to a ship at 5 or 6 p.m, everyone in the UK is already in bed. So if I don't touch base with them in the morning, I kind of miss them all day. So I've bought a travel sim so that when I'm out and about, I can make a few phone calls, which is great. But anyway, that's delayed my departure. The other thing that's going to kick off the day in a different fashion to what I would like is that I have to go to the shops to buy a phone charger because annoyingly my phone charger doesn't actually connect to a power bank, which means that I will lose connection almost, about 2 hours after I leave the ship. So I'm going to have to go to, I can actually see a Wal Mart directly outside the ship, so I'm taking all of you over for my first Wal Mart experience, which I can't wait for that because I remember as a kid going to Walmart in Orlando when I would go family holidays and just thinking it was amazing, the size of it. And if there's any Americans watching this channel, you're probably all putting your head into your hands right now, but I'm so excited to get into Walmart and find a phone charger. I'll show you guys what I'm seeing, but I can guarantee you it's going to be big. It's going to be, yeah, intense, I reckon. But yeah, once that's done, which hopefully should only take about 15 or 20 minutes, then it'll be off to explore Mexico. Now, the plan for today, I went to a presentation on the ship yesterday where they were basically talking to you about things to do when you were in port today. Now, apparently the shopping here is really good, but I'm not really a huge shopper, to be honest. One of the other downsides to spending so long on these ships is that I do at the end of the day have a flight home to catch, so I need to make sure that my bags aren't too grotesquely overweight for that final flight. So yeah, won't be buying much today. Now I am going to be jumping in a taxi and heading down to a part of the town called the Malecon, which is a 12-block promenade that runs all the way up the seafront. And apparently it's full of shops, bars, restaurants, cafes, and it's meant to be one of the best places to go to experience this port of call. So we're going to head down there. I'm obviously going to take you guys with me and give you, hopefully, a bit of a flavour for what Puerto Vallarta is like to visit on a cruise. Now, actually, one commitment I will make is that by the end of my port of call today, I'll be saying the name of the port without flinching and without cringing, so yeah. Look, couple more things. Weather today is absolutely glorious, so you could hopefully see in the shots where we were sailing in, it's currently, I think it was low 90s when they did the announcement earlier, and it's due to hit 100 around lunchtime, so, well, in fact, that's probably about now, actually. So it's going to be warm, so I probably should apologise in advance for me looking more and more hot and sweaty as the day as the day goes on before I can come back to the ship and freshen up. And the other thing to mention is that there was a notice on the back of our daily schedule for this cruise. Now, on Carnival, this is all digital, but I asked to get it delivered to the cabin just because it's one of those things that I actually quite like to keep these as a souvenir of my cruise and also to look back on when people message me for advice about a cruise line, just so that I can remind myself of the situation on that ship. Now, there's actually a little notice down at the bottom of the daily schedule here which talks about a couple of important facts or important recommendations. Now, this one says, while in port today, we suggest that you remain in tourist areas, return before sunset, and refrain from wearing jewellery or carrying sums of cash. So, yeah, also a couple of warnings here about mosquitoes. Make sure you put repellent on after sunscreen. And then, yeah, finally, it just signs it off. Have fun and be safe. So, yeah, I think for that reason, I will be using my Uber app and getting in official taxis today. And, yeah, definitely trying to get back to the ship before the sun goes down, which should be... Sunset here is 6:30 p.m. So all aboard is 8:30, but to be honest, between 12 and 6:30, that's probably more than enough time for me to experience this port. But yeah, look, never thought I'd say this when we arrived in Mexico, but let's get off the ship and get to Wal Mart, and then hopefully hit the town and find somewhere decent for either a Mexican beer or a margarita. So yeah, let's go. Just like that, we're off the ship and we are officially in Mexico. Now, the first thing that you will find when you disembark your cruise ship here in Puerto Vallarta is a huge duty-free shop, and that's part of the Puerto Mágico complex. Now, this is a totally private complex that is designed for any cruise ships visiting this dock, and you can't get in from outside unless you have a cruise card. So it does make this feel pretty safe. So if you want to get off for a little wander around, have a mooch around some of the shops and then head back on board, you absolutely can do that at this port. They also have a little market set up, which is quite good if you're looking for a couple of souvenirs without going all the way into town, because there's not too much else directly around the ship here. Anyway, speaking of directly around the ship, we have got somewhere that we need to get to, which is Wal Mart. What I would say is that the road junctions here are absolutely enormous, so just be really, really careful if you are heading out on foot. And within 4 or 5 minutes of leaving the cruise ship, you are going to see this beauty here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wal Mart in Mexico. I love visiting supermarkets in other countries to just see how the products look and to see how everything gets merchandised. I have never seen so many avocados on one table. You will all think I am completely insane by the end of this video. But yes, I actually really enjoyed having a look around this shop. As you know, I was missing home a little bit today, so I thought, oh, do you know what? Lindor is a taste of home. How much are they? How much do you think? 250. Yes, fine, that's pesos, so that equates to roughly £15, but absolutely not for a little bit of chocolate. So they went back on the shelf, and I managed to find my charger, which is great, because otherwise I would have really struggled to talk to any of you today. So thankfully, I found that. I also found some of the most Mexican things I have ever seen in my life, and I also use this as a pretty good opportunity to stock up for the day. With it being 100 degrees outside, I wanted to just grab some water. It was super cheap in here. Remember, that's 5 pesos, which is way less than even 50 pence or 50 US cents. Guys, let me tell you, I am delighted that that worked. So price-wise, I've probably told you already, but price-wise in there, it is insanely cheap. So yeah, that went much better than getting ripped off in some gift shop somewhere downtown. Now, anyway, plan for me now is to head from here, which is basically still at the port, so the ship is just over my shoulder at the moment. I'm going to head from here down to the Malecon, and I'm going to try and Uber it. So I've had very good experiences travelling recently with Uber, so I'm hoping that this will be equally as strong. And in case you can't already tell, it's hot. So yeah, watch this space. Let's see how long this takes. Cross everything, it's going to be good and air conditioned, and I will see all of you down by, well, down by the beach. Right, so I am now out of the Uber, which actually was so cheap. So that Uber ride took about 20 minutes and it's only cost, what, about $6 to get down to here. So yeah, very, very impressed. Now, anyway, when you get out of the Uber, the bit I'm at the moment doesn't look ideal, but look at the beach, which is directly outside where you get dropped off at the start of the Malecon. It is, oh, it's so nice. They've got loads of rock formations here as well, which I will flip the camera and show you. But let me take you up and give you a little look at the boardwalk, which is up here. So this just runs, oh my goodness, it runs so far, all the way down the coastline, and it's just covered in like bars and restaurants all the way down the other side of the road. So if you look over there at the moment, it's basically just that the entire way down. So all the way back there as well. Now I, to be honest, think this is probably going to deliver me the perfect margarita. So let's have a look around this part of the town, let's scope it out and hopefully find the ideal drink. Now what I definitely would say is that while it's lovely to walk along the front and to have the beach and to have the palm trees, it's so hot. It's actually boiling in the sun. Now I've been reliably informed that if you take a street or two away from the shore, very quickly it changes from sort of big built up businesses. So down here you've got Señor Frogs and all the typical brands that you find in a beach environment here. Very quickly, it apparently becomes quite family orientated in terms of family owned businesses. So hopefully we can get a slightly more authentic taste of Mexico by heading a street or two back. And maybe I can dry off a little bit because this is getting slightly uncomfortable. But yeah, look, let's begin walking again because this is very thirsty work. And hopefully you'll next hear from me when we are hopefully at a table with a margarita in hand. So yeah, let's go find a bar. And so the search for a bar goes on. Who'd have thought it would take a guy from Scotland so long to find somewhere to have a drink? Anyway, bear with me. Over the other side of this bridge here is where you're going to find a part of this city that feels very, very different to where we've just come from. Over here is where you're going to find a lot of the big, all-inclusive, fancy hotels and apartment buildings. You'll see that these streets look much more like what you'd expect to see in Europe, to be honest. And it's where we're also going to find this place, which I'll tell you about in a second. What I would like you to appreciate in this next clip is that after I go inside and after I sit down with a menu, I try and video it just as a tray of cold towels are awkwardly presented to me and I don't really have any idea what to do. Okay, so I thought rather than wander the streets trying to find a good margarita, jump on Google and see what the recommended places are, and it turns out number 2 was literally about 200 yards away from where I was standing at that point in time, which has worked out very, very well. Now, anyway, I've ended up at a place which I'll put the name of it at the bottom of the screen now for you, but long story short, I've managed to get in, get a table, and I have got a drink. So I'm going to sign out, enjoy this, and I will speak to you all in a minute. Yeah, that place worked out absolutely brilliant. Now, they have a thing here, which when you go into a bar or into a restaurant, I think it's probably more likely to be a bar, they give you like a chilled towel to basically wipe yourself down, which You could probably tell in that last clip I required and probably could do with one already, and I've literally just stepped out the front door. So yeah, that was good. Price wise, that was 140 pesos, so I think it was about about £7 or about $8 or $9 US. So to be honest, pretty happy. I am now going to head back to the ship because it's getting on now. It's approaching about 5 o'clock, which means by the time I then get back, it'll probably be about, well, realistically about 6ish by the time I get an Uber and then get along. So yeah, this port though, I'll catch up with you properly back in the cabin, but this port has been such a nice introduction to Mexico, and I'm now very excited for what I can get off and do tomorrow. But yeah, look, let me sign out here and we'll head back, probably just Uber back, and yeah, I'll catch up with you properly when we get back onto the ship. One of the real luxuries of a later sail away is that you get to enjoy the city a little bit quieter when a lot of other cruise passengers head back to the ship to get dinner. I managed to find this beautiful church. It turns out this is one of the top things to see here, and I just stumbled upon it en route back to the Malecon to get a taxi back to the ship. This is the Church of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and believe it or not, this was built in the 1930s, so it's way more modern than most churches that I've seen out there. It was really, really nice to see how a place of worship looks in Mexico. I've never ever been in a church in Mexico, so yeah, I find it really quite fascinating. After that, it was time to have one final wander around the streets. What I would say is that this city, as a port town, is just absolutely great to have a walk around. It feels so real. It feels like you're genuinely in a place where people live, rather than somewhere where thousands of tourists are just on holiday. And as you can see here, I wandered around until the point where it was sunset. Now, as beautiful as this is, I was very aware of the fact that the cruise line had issued advice for us to come back prior to sundown. So I had time to take a couple of nice photos on the beach, and then it was time to get a taxi back up to the ship. Okay, back up at the cruise port now, and yeah, I basically just had a bit of a moment because I just jumped on to my Uber app and clicked where I'd been before and totally forgot that I'm back at Wal Mart, of course. So today has now gone full circle and I'm now back at the shops. So luckily for me, Carnival Panorama is just behind me over here, so it'll only take about 10 minutes to get over there, which means I will be back before it gets dark, which is great. So I'm going to be on board just before 7 PM, I think, and then we're due, all aboard is at 8:30 and we'll sail away at 9 PM tonight, I believe. So yeah, I'm going to head over the road and I'll catch up with you properly when I get back into my cabin. Oh, right. I am back in the cabin, showered, dried, and I'm actually, do you know what? I'm exhausted tonight. I'm so tired. Now, today's port day, that was absolutely brilliant. Yes, we had a bit of a slow start due to phone data, due to having to go to a supermarket. But do you know what? Puerto Vallarta is absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that. Now, a lot of people on the ship today, they went off and did like ziplining excursions, or they went and did, okay, I don't know, a whole host of different things. And I honestly think, see if you haven't been here before, don't bother booking one of those excursions. Do exactly the type of thing that I did, which is get off the ship, go down to the Malecon and explore that area because it's absolutely full of history down there. I absolutely loved it. Now, anyway, tomorrow I cannot wait because the port we're going to, I spent this afternoon while I was kind of in the taxi back and wandering about. I was trying to like look at travel blogs and stuff for what to do in that port, and I think I've got a really good day lined up. One part includes a hike, so not entirely sold on that at the moment, but tomorrow morning, let us wait and see. But yeah, we'll be docking tomorrow at like 9 a.m. So to be honest, I'm not going to have that much longer awake tonight. So when I got back on the ship, I went via the pool deck, and do you know those times when you walk about a cruise ship and suddenly time just disappears? That's basically what happened there. So I stopped and got dinner at Guy's Burger Joint, which is the burger takeaway from the poolside. Now, that to me is one of my favourite ever poolside grab and go type snacks that I've seen on a cruise ship. And to be honest, the reason for that is that the food actually feels of a quality that I wouldn't mind paying for. Like, yes, actually, Carnival, if you're listening to this, don't start charging us, but yeah, really, really good. You can go and you can pick from 5 or 6 different types of burger. You then get fries, and you've got loads of different sauces that you can put on, along with salad that you can put on the side. And yeah, really big thumbs up for me. Now, after that, I grabbed ice cream, which, but see, to be honest, that's my first ice cream of the day, so I'm doing really, really well because it's now 10 p.m. So yeah, to only have one today is absolutely brilliant going by my standards. But yeah, after that it was sail away, so just stood and watched that from the back, but you probably will, depending on how I formulate this vlog, you may or may not have seen that. I think you probably will have just watched that with us kind of sailing out of port, which I love a nighttime sail away. I really do, because you get to experience more than just the 9 to 5 in port, and you get to actually see what happens when everyone finishes work. And it was so nice today because when I was coming back over from Wal Mart back to the ship, that car park behind where the cruise ship was docked was full of like mums and dads with their kids that had obviously come down, like, well, I would assume like after work to come down and look at the ship, and the kids were all excited. And yeah, you just get a bit of a different feel for what local life could be like when you're in a port so late. But look, I'm now back on the ship. I mean, I'm knackered, so I haven't even bothered gelling my hair tonight, but I'm going to have quite an early night tonight. So I'm going to head down to the shops because they have an event on tonight, which is like the Carnival branded t-shirt. So if you followed my channel and you watch my lives, you'll know that I'm an absolute sucker for a cruise line novelty t-shirt. So I'll be down there tonight to see what I can get my hands on. After that, I'm probably going to swing by karaoke for a bit, and then after that, there's a game show that I was going to say taking part in. To confirm, I will not be taking part in, but I will happily watch with a few glasses of water to try and rehydrate after today. But look, hopefully you will come along with me tomorrow as we dock in Mazeltan, I think, if I'm getting that right. I actually thought I had the leaflet here, but hopefully you'll come with me as we dock tomorrow in, yes, Mazatlan. Okay, close enough. So as we dock there tomorrow, I hope that you'll come along with me and see what that port's got to offer. I'm really excited actually, because people that I've met on the ship here have told me that tomorrow is really, really different to today, and today is really, really different to Cabo later in the week. So I think every single day this cruise, you're going to get a slightly different flavour of Mexico, which should be quite exciting. But anyway, if you want to come along in my next video, then please absolutely feel free to jump down below the video and you can subscribe down there. And also while you're there, it would be a massive help to me if you've enjoyed this one to give it a thumbs up, which you can also do just down below if you're logged into your YouTube account. But hey, look, let me take you out and about around the ship. I won't have too much to show you because this bed here is absolutely calling my name because I am exhausted after today. So from me, good night, and I will see all of you tomorrow morning in our next port of call. Brilliant. Cheers for watching, guys. Bye.